What up, guys? Welcome to Harry Dating Combos. This is the show where you learn about love, dating, relationships, and all that it has to offer. I'm your host, Harry Wilmington. How you guys doing? This rainy Tuesday afternoon here in Los Angeles, and I can't go outside because there's nothing to do, and I'm not trying to get wet. So here I am doing a show for you guys, and today we are going to be talking about indifference. Now, normally when most dating gurus cover the topic of indifference, the general conversation is, hey, if you're more indifferent to women in dating, then you're going to get better results. And I've had that conversation on here myself, so I was going to reiterate that, but I had an interesting message come in where a guy was asking me a question about just his dating situation in general, and he brought up the idea of indifference. And he mentioned that he was trying to be indifferent, but he also found that part of the time he was freaking out because in being indifferent, he felt as though he wasn't being able to show women that he liked them, and then maybe that's why he was failing at it. And so I started thinking about it and really analyzing that. I never considered that it's easy for, dating gurus to come on here and say, hey, all you got to do is be indifferent and women will see that you're not so desperate for them and you'll get women, which is true. But nobody really talks about like what happens when you're indifferent but you're missing a crucial piece that's going to allow you to also not be anxious when you're trying to be indifferent. Because if you're a guy up to this point that has not practiced being indifferent, it is actually very hard to be indifferent. Like you have to actually practice at it, but you also have to have another key component that we're going to go into today that will allow you to really understand the totality of what's going on, and it'll allow you to be indifferent while at the same time being able to respond properly to when she's throwing out certain things to you that indicate she's ready to move to these next levels. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, I have a few comments that people left over the course of the week that I'm going to quickly respond to. And as always, this show is about you guys. So if you have a question you want to ask me about your dating life, about anything going on with the show, you can leave your comments in the comment section and I'll be happy to get to it. As always, this show is brought to you by my website, harrywilmington.com. You can go there now, guys. Check out my ebooks and audiobooks, but I also have one-on-one coaching there. So if you need personalized help with the situation, you can sign up for one-on-one phone call coaching, and I'll talk to you for like an hour, and you can tell me about what's going on. I can help you out. Also, I have the Get Girls Academy, which you will learn more about now. As always, this show is brought to you by Get Girls Academy, my exclusive program designed to help you attract, date, and keep the women you want. As a member, you'll gain access to proven strategies, insider tips, and bi-monthly group coaching sessions where we tackle your biggest questions live. Click the link in the description to learn more and join today. So yeah, you can get all that stuff and more at harrywilmington.com. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe if you feel like it. All right. So before we get into the main topic, I did want to go over a couple of messages that I got underneath my videos. I go trolling for various comments on my videos because you guys leave them and I can answer them on this show. And so I'll get to a few of what those were, just a few here. So the first one, so I got a comment from a guy that is attempting to do cold approaches and he gets really nervous about it. And so he left a comment that said, I approach women and then I just walk away. I'm paranoid that I am bugging them, haha. The other day at Universal Studios, I approached these cute Japanese girls. I complimented them on their cool Super Mario hats. They smiled and said, thank you. Then I left, haha, I don't want to bug. I'm assuming he's talking about the Universal Studios in LA here because the one in Florida hasn't opened yet. So that means this is happening in California. So first I'll say this, it takes a big amount of guts to be able to start practicing approaching women, because I know they can, even though they're like docile, they can seem very scary. Obviously, there's always the threat of being rejected. So anybody that's able to actually walk up to women, approach them, start a conversation, I admire that because I have to coach guys into being able to just do that. And so the fact that you're already doing that, that's a bonus. But the problem is you're going into approaching these women with the wrong mindset. And I don't want you to do that, because what will start to happen is at some point in time, you're going to approach a woman that actually enjoys the conversation she's having with you. And you're going to be so in your head about annoying her or bugging her that you're going to just walk away from that, not getting a number, not asking for a social media name or something like that. And you're going to actually miss out on women who legitimately enjoyed the conversation. Now, what I want to do is I want to lessen the pressure on you, because there's this idea that guys have sometimes of thinking, okay, the purpose of cold approach is to get her number, ask her out on a date, see if she likes me, all this stuff. And the reality is, when you're approaching a woman for the first time, she didn't expect to meet you today. So it goes from you were never a single thought in her head ever because she never met you to like now she's in front of your face. And so in the beginning, if you're going to do cold approaches, you don't need to lean in with a lot of heavy hitting stuff. You don't need to tell them, hey, I just thought you were attractive. You were pretty. I think we could go great together, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Guys always put the cart before the horse. And that's stuff that does not currently need to be said. Cold approach, you take steps in. So you've already got the first step, which is the hardest one, is you're approaching women. And then the second step is figuring out something to say, whether it's in this case, hey, I like your hats. Hey, you guys look pretty cool. What are you all doing here at Universal on a Tuesday? Like, but either way, you start a conversation. And then at that point, you're not trying to push any kind of agenda. You're just trying to see if the conversation is going to be reciprocal. You say, hey, ladies, just want to say, I think you guys have some really, really nice hats. They respond, oh, hey, thank you. Now, if they say, oh, hey, thank you, and they're keeping on walking as they're saying it, you know, okay, they probably weren't interested enough to at least stop and have a conversation. Now, if you pass by them and you say, hey, just wanted to say, you ladies, you guys look really great, and you have these awesome, awesome hats on, and they're like, oh, hey, thank you, and they don't start walking right away, at this point, you can banter a little bit. Hey, just curious, where'd you get the hats from? Because you guys can't be the only cool looking people in this park wearing a hat. I got to get a hat too. So let me know, where'd you get them from? Now, at this point, you have a decision to make. Do they like your banter enough to actually answer you back and then ask you questions? If so, that's a very positive conversation that's happening. If they say, oh, over there, and then keep walking, then again, you've done your part. You say, okay, appreciate it, ladies, thanks, going about your way. But if there's any kind of stoppage, then that means that there is a good chance that you have an opportunity here to be able to ask for a number or a social media name of some kind to be able to connect with them later. So this is when you got to make the big boy moves. And these are the moves that seem to be the hardest to make, because most guys, they're just like, I had a cool conversation with a girl. I don't want to ruin this and potentially hurt my ego by trying to ask for more things like a number and then get rejected. So guys would be like, okay, that's cool. Well, I'm off, goodbye. And I've done this in my dating past when I was not great. I would approach women, I'd have a good conversation, and then I'd be like, all right, well, have a good day. And I'd walk off. And sometimes, and thinking back, I would see women stand there like, okay, bye. Or they'd be like, okay, hope I see you later. Knowing that I did not get their number, right? And when they say, hope I see you later, that was like the last ditch effort for them saying, hey, stupid, ask for the number. So these are things that you have to get as a guy, just get over. Like, I get it. You approached a woman. That was nerve-wracking enough. She actually had a conversation with you. That's also like, I never thought I'd get this far. At this point, you only have one more hurdle. And the way that you go about this is very, very simple. I do this whenever I'm doing when I'm doing cold approaches, or if I'm at parties and I'm about to leave, but I've been talking to a girl really that we've been building a good rapport. So very simple. You say, hey, ladies, or hey, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. I know you guys are probably busy. It was nice chatting with you. Oh, hey, real quick. You know what? You guys are really, really cool. Let me get your number. Hand her the phone. Hand whoever in the group is the cutest one you think is, hey, real quick, let me get your number. Hey, real quick, let me get your social. Boom. At that point, you got it. And this is where guys fail, because they think you can't do it like this. Where's my phone? I don't have my phone here. Oh, here it is. You can't do it like this. Hey, so it was nice talking to you. And can I have your number real quick? Like, that looks weak. And it's funny. I had this conversation on a forum this week about the fact that they were disagreeing when I said that how you ask women out can actually change up how they feel about you. And this guy disagreed and said, well, no, the words that you say shouldn't matter, because if she's already attracted to you, and what I keep trying to stress to you guys is when women first meet you, everything for them is in maybe land. With most women, when they're making decisions, it boils down to maybe I will, but it depends on how I feel at the time that I'm being asked the thing. So when you first meet a girl, she's like, okay, is this guy a threat? Is this guy going to be fun? Is this cool? Should I talk to him? Should I not? I don't know. It depends on what he does. So then you start saying stuff. Oh, he's got a good vibe going. Okay, great. So now you get to the end, right? And at this point, depending on how you say, can I get your number? She's gonna have a different feeling about you. If you go at it like, so, okay, well, is it okay if I get your number? Even if she had a good conversation with you, suddenly the nervous part that you're showing is gonna make her feel like, oh, wait, this isn't the guy that I thought was, because I was having a conversation with a cool, confident guy, and this guy here asking for my number is now nervous. I don't know who this is, and I don't have my phone on me. My dog ate it. Oh, I don't really have a number like that. Versus what I do, which is, hey, this isn't great. I don't want to hold you guys up. You guys have a great day. Oh, hey, real quick, let me get your number. I'd love to hang out. Or I don't even say that part. I just say, oh, hey, real quick, you guys seem really cool. Let me get your social media. It's solid. It's confident. I'm not asking for the number. I'm telling them, let me get your number. Asking versus telling are two different feelings for women. Asking is saying, please, princess, I'm begging you. I hope you want to spend more time with me. Saying is, I'm giving you a directive, give me your number now. And subconsciously, women are more apt to, you will get more numbers telling women to give it to you than you asking. So at the end of this little, cold approach, you get to the end, great time, real quick, let me get your number. And she's going to be like, oh, hey, sure, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Have a good day. Hit me up soon. Or they'll be like, oh, I don't have social media. Either way, just be like, just play dumb. If she says, I don't have a phone, I don't have social media, you just be like, oh, okay, cool. Well, hey, you guys have a great day, and thanks for the hat advice. And then you walk off. Now, again, part of this is you got to get used to failing. You got to get used to the idea that the girl you're hitting on right now does not have to be the woman that you end up with. She's just, right now in your journey, she's just somebody to practice on. Treat it like a simulator. Treat it like online dating, like you're sweeping through people, and you find somebody and you're like, okay, let's see how this goes. Let's check this program out. Boop. Hey, simulation, talk, number. Okay, that one didn't work. I'll try with the next girl. But if you do it like that versus making it so personal, you will find, again, the amount of numbers you will be able to get will be surprising to you. But this starts with, you can't approach them and feel as though before you even talk to them, I'm going to talk to them and I'm going to be bugging them. Oh, well, they're talking to me now, but I'm probably bugging them. You know what? I'm not going to ask for the number because I'm already bugging them and they gave me enough of their time. No. If you go in like that, that's the energy you're bringing. And yeah, you're going to seem like a burden versus you showing up. She was having a nonchalant day and you came in and spiced up her life a little bit. And most women like that experience. They like randomness happening to their day. So you actually made their day a positive. So think like that. Think like, hey, this girl's having a regular ass life right now, and I'm going to come into her life and give her a little bit of excitement, and then I'm going to pull it away, but I'm going to give her the opportunity to potentially get it back by giving me her number. That's how you think about it. So that way, when you're approaching women, you won't be so nervous. So hopefully some of what I said will help you guys out that want to do cold approaches, but are worried about bugging women. And I get it. There's a lot of stuff out there that says women don't want to be approached or women hate being bugged, but there's something to be said for knowing that you can approach women in a respectful way, in a fun way that is going to grab their attention. And hey, real talk, I get it. If you approach a woman and she's like, oh, get away from me or blah, blah, that's on her. That's bad on her for not being open to meeting a cool guy like you. But that's on her, not on you. Don't take women's reactions as a testimony to who you are. Like if they're saying, oh, you're disgusting. I mean, admittedly, you could probably dress better and smell better, but assuming you got that stuff straight, some women are just going to be a-holes. Women have their own traumas. Women have their types. And so some women are going to be like that. But again, those women, they'll hurt your feelings for like 2 seconds and then you go into somebody else. If you learn to not take this stuff personally, then you will find that it gets easier, which we'll talk about more in the main part of the show. But for now, hopefully that helps you out. Like I said, guys, the show is ultimately about you. So if you have any questions you want to ask me in the chat, then you can definitely do that. Just leave it in the chat and I'll be happy to answer it during the course of this show. All right, so let's get to the next part of this show here. So I had somebody leave a comment under one of my videos, and the comment says, it's funny, women want to hear the right things, but they also know once X amount of guys say the right things, She wants to know which of those guys actually do it. So this is referring to the fact that men get annoyed when women want to test them, because women will ask us direct questions like, hey, so what kind of guy are you? Do you get angry easily? Do you like X, Y, and Z? Are you telling the truth all the time? Are you a liar? This is that. And of course, us having ourselves be the hero in our own stories, tell women everything they want to hear. Oh yeah, I'm a great guy. Oh, I've never cheated. Oh, sure, I would never lie to you. Oh my God, I'm so confident, blah, 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 right? And so that's what he's alluding to, is that women are used to hearing man after man after man after man give these same answers that are positive. So to his point, he says, so what they want to see, so step one is saying the right things, and then step two is doing the right things. And so meaning like it's one thing for her to hear you say the right stuff to her, but then you also have to do the right stuff and respond to her in the ways that are congruent with how you said you would be. So unfortunately, men in her past have lied about that. Man, it's like, oh, I'm always truthful, I never tell lies. She's dated those guys that ended up, they were lying about something, they were hiding something, they were, not as brave as they put on, like, oh, I'll always protect you. And then like a car came by and almost sideswiped them and he like pushed her in the street or some stuff. So women have gone through this enough to where it's like, they can't just rely on your word, because while you find yourself trustworthy, the 9 guys she dated before you also made her believe that they were trustworthy or that they were brave or that they were confident, and they were not. And so this is where step 2 comes in, and he says step 2 requires a game, because it's literally a testing ground to see what happens. And he says it sucks, but if you know it's a game or what she's doing, then it's easy. Talk the talk, walk the walk. So this is for you guys that get annoyed by women and you say, well, why do women got to play these games? Why can't they just be upfront with me? This is that. And just like as guys, we have our personal traumas. Like I think about the fact that like, if a guy has dated enough gold diggers, for example, then chances are the next girl you date, you're going to take her to like a coffee shop or a walk in the park or something that costs next to no money to see if she's a gold digger. Why? Because even if she's saying to you, I'm not a gold digger, it's kind of hard to prove that when you're taking her to like a 5-star restaurant, you're offering to take her on vacations, put her up in a fancy hotel, right? Like you're not gonna be able to suss out if the woman you're with is a gold digger until like date 5 or 6 when you're trying to spend less money. And she's like, but I want to go to the Ritz-Carlton. And so women, just like boys, they hear guys say, oh, I'm so into snap, but it's like, they don't know that. So they test things out. And then we, as men, get mad at them. And we're not taking into account the fact that in their past, they've had to deal with some crap that is causing them to bring these tests forth. But like this guy says, the easiest way to pass these tests is to talk the talk and walk the walk. So what she's going to test you on basically is the stuff that you told her. You told her that you are trustworthy, you don't ever look through people's phones, that you are a confident guy, you make X amount of money and this and that. Okay, she's gonna test that stuff. She's gonna wanna see your car. She's gonna wanna, put you through a situation where maybe for the other guys she dated, they would have slipped in their confidence a bit, or, guys are famous for saying, oh, I totally know, I'm a patient guy, I don't get mad. And then she doesn't text him back one day, where are you? Why aren't you texting me back? What's going on? So she's gonna test you. She's gonna do the test of pulling away. She's gonna do the test of, she's gonna send you back 1 or 2 word answers when you text her. She's gonna do the test of, oh, hey, I can't make the date that you wanna go on because my dog got sick or something. Oh, but I can make it this other day. Like, these things are going to happen. And I think that men do themselves a disservice of thinking that if they're dating the right girl and dating a good girl, that they're not going to do this. I'm going to tell you now, all women test. Either they test directly or indirectly. A direct test is she thinks in her mind, I'm going to do this thing to see how he's going to react, or if his confidence is really there, or if I can truly trust him. Indirect is you're saying, for example, you're totally able to talk about stuff and discuss stuff, and that the other person you're with doesn't always have to agree with you, for example, right? And then one day you guys having a discussion and she disagrees with you, like, and she legitimately disagrees, right? And so when she disagrees with you, you respond back with like, well, that's just stupid. Why would you think that? And in her head, she's like, wait a minute. I wasn't trying to rile him up, but he seems to get riled up when I disagree. Interesting. So now I've indirectly tested him by proxy, and he's already failing that. So now I have to now purposely create more tests and create more disagreements to see how he responds to those. And so again, if you're going to tell her about how you are, all women are going to test you for is to make sure that you're going to do the things and act in ways that you said you were going to do. And all you gotta do to pass those is just be yourself, like be the person that you told her you would be. If you do that, she'll be like, oh, okay, he really is that way. I trust this guy. And you will find you will get tested way less, but you're only going to get tested more if she starts catching you in lies or slip ups, or you're not actually the way that you portray that you are. This is why I don't get mad at tests. I want women to test me. Please test me so you can see that I actually am the man that I talk about. And then if I'm not, then we don't deserve to be together because I was tripping and you should go to somebody else. But I welcome tests. And so I find I don't get tested a lot because, surprise, surprise, I'm walking the talk that I talk. So I'm glad that guy left that comment, because for you guys that are annoyed by women testing, it's super easy to pass them. Just don't lie and just be a guy that knows how to be the guy you said you are. Now, if you have problems in certain areas that you want to work on so you can legitimately be a more confident guy, a less anxious guy, a less jealous guy, hit up harrywilmington.com and sign up for a one-on-one coaching. I would love to help you out. All right. Let's see here. All right. So we have questions in the chat. I think we have questions in the chat. All right. So we have a question in the chat, or a comment in the chat. I'm just going to read through this. So this guy says, I just want a rotation of 5 lady friends with benefits type situation. How do I set that up? I don't like hurting their feelings too. How can I avoid that? He says, I'm married. The young lady is well aware of this, yet she greets me with butterfly eyes and a big smile. What the heck? I've never had a nonverbal IOI this obvious when I was single. Okay, these are two. I'm sorry. I thought these were the same comments. Okay, so these are two different comments. So let me just backtrack, okay? So the first guy says, he's saying, I just want a rotation of 5 lady friends with benefits type of situation. How do I set that? I don't like hurting their feelings too. How can I avoid that? Well, the reality is, for one, there are women that are actually open to that. My general stance is this: as long as you are not actually in a committed relationship with anybody, then everything's fair game, And there are women that you can legit say, hey, just so you know, like, real talk, like, I think you're pretty. I admire you. I want to do some fun stuff with you. Right now, I wouldn't ever say anything like, I'm not ready to settle down. You could just say, right now, I'm just trying to explore my options. And so I could be dating you, but I may also be seeing other people. If you're not cool with that, it is what it is. But, I think I'd really like to get to know you and see what's what. That is vague enough to where if she decides in her head, well, see what's what means he wants a relationship. That's not what you said. But either way, that is a way whereby you can actually get women to agree to that arrangement. Because again, I'm here in Hollywood. I've seen all kinds of stuff. That is not a hard thing to do. There are dudes that I know that are legit playboys, like their lifestyle. They got the cars and they got the money and they ain't trying to settle down. And lo and behold, surprise, surprise, women fantasize about being with that kind of man and having an experience with that kind of guy and are willing to share him. Like Kevin Samuels talked about this all the time, and women thought he was crazy, and men that didn't have money also thought he was crazy. Men that have money, not to say I'm not rich by any means, but I've been in the company of men that have money and just have the swag about them that it's just like they walk into a room without a care in the world. These are what we call the naturals. And them dudes, 5 or 6 women will run up to him, and by the end of the night, he can have all 5 numbers and decide when and where he wants to bang them. So I say this because I don't want you as a guy thinking you got to trick women into this kind of situation. You don't. Now, I will say with that, you got to be very mindful of things like STDs. You got to be careful of like the crazy women out there that will eventually get hurt by this and want to do some stuff to your car or come where you live and do things to you. Like, be mindful, like, you are playing with people's emotions potentially with this, because even a woman that says, well, I mean, I'm not trying to be serious either, blah, 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 blah. Trust me, once sex gets involved and once, you start giving it, if you're laying it down really, really good, I can assure you, a woman that thought she'd be cool just being on the roster suddenly wants to be top tier. And you got to be mindful that that could happen. If you're willing to take that risk, then again, it's really just a matter of just being honest with women. Take them out, show them a good time, hook up with them the best you possibly can, and then be like, hey, just so you know, like, right now I'm just dating around. And in fact, you could hook up with them and then in bed with them say, hey, just so you know, like, I had a good time. Hope you had a good time too. Would love to do this again. Real talk. I don't want to, because you want to be an honest guy. And funny, the more honest you are about this, the easier it actually is to have this happen. You can just say, hey, just so you know, like, having a good time. I'm still trying to figure things out and I'm dating around right now. So I don't, and you say this, you say, so, I don't want to hold you to anything if you're thinking this is going to be more than it is, because, I think you're a great person. I know right now that I'm just trying to get to know people. And so we're not super serious right now. I'd like to keep it this way. If you're not cool with that, then I totally understand. But you know what? I think you're great. Now, at that point, you've been more honest than most nice guys would try to be, where it's like, oh, I don't really have a crush on you. And they really do, right? So at that point, she can decide she's a grown-ass woman. Oh, okay, that's cool. Hey, I'm just trying to feel things out to it. I'm just trying to do whatever. So yeah, it's whatever. You will find women will actually agree to that arrangement, okay? So hopefully that helps you out. So we got another one here. Okay. So this guy says, I'm married. The young lady, this random young lady, this ex-colleague at a party, is well aware of this, yet she greets me with butterfly eyes and a big smile. What the freak? I've never had a non-verbal IOI. That's indicator of interest for those of you that aren't on the PUA language. I've never had a non-verbal IOI this obvious when I was single. Yeah, welcome to what most married men figure out, which is that when you have a ring, women want that thing. And the reason that is because, are you ready for it? Okay. When you were single, the world at large was basically saying, nobody's choosing this guy. And because the world was not choosing you, other women would not choose you, because women want other women to validate that you are a worthy candidate. It sounds backwards and it sounds stupid, but this is why, guys, it's important to be able to walk around with an air that indicates that you don't need any particular woman, because it says to women, he looks already satisfied. He must have a bunch of poo-tang being thrown at him. And it might not be true, but when you walk with that swag, that is what results in women wanting to come over to you, because you don't have to, I talk a lot in here about like, it's good to be dating multiple women, but the reality is in your earlier dating years, it's good to date multiple women. So you build up your confidence that if you choose at any given time, you can go out there and get a woman, whether you currently have one or not. Because then what happens is you can meet one woman and date that one woman, but not be acting in ways that you would if you were a guy that was more desperate for women, And so, yeah, so what's happened is you got married, which means a woman chose you, which means the world at large is now saying, hey, look, this guy's actually worthy of being in a relationship. And now women are trying to work backwards and try to get themselves in your good graces, because they're like, oh, you've been proven. Clearly, if you're with somebody, you were proven to be a worthy mate, and therefore now I want to choose you also. And so, sad to say, guy, that's what happens. And so at that point, you got to make a decision, which is, do you want to cheat on your wife or not? I'm hoping the answer is no, because I would be also the same. I'd be like, no, I got somebody. I ain't trying to ruin it. But just know that, I will say this, as a guy, it does feel good to know, even when you're in a relationship, that other women are still vetting for you and saying, yeah, he still got it. So take that swag and go home to your wife and bang her brains out, because the world is saying you are actually a worthy candidate. And that's not going to go away. It's going to probably happen more now that you're married. So just putting it out there. All right. We got a question in the chat. Dude, I literally just answered this question. Like, actually, just if you scroll back in the live, I just went over this comment. Like, I actually went over the comment, because the comment you left me was, I approach women, I walk away. I met them at university. I just did a whole thing like literally 10 minutes ago answering this comment. So appreciate the 10. I've answered it. So scroll back and you'll see the answer that I gave. All right. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the main topic of the day. So as you guys know, I have a course at my website called the Get Girls Academy that has people in it. And so as part of that, people write me, they ask me questions. I answer them in my emails. You get unlimited emails to me when you join the Get Girls Academy. What's my throat today? It's weird. So this guy wrote me this message, and part of it mentions the idea of indifference. And so I'm going to read through what he said in parts, and we'll get into it, right? So, and I've been coaching this guy for a while now. He's had some interesting situations where he was dating women, and he used to be a guy that was like a player, wasn't trying to settle down. And now he's trying to like be in a more serious relationship. But the last couple of times he's tried to do that, he's noticed that he's stumbled and that he's actually gotten really anxious. Like now that he's trying to actually get into something, he's getting more and more anxious. And so he said, he was watching another content creator's video this morning, and it reminded me a lot of what we talked about. Basically, this gentleman was looking for ways to sabotage his own situation about this girl that likes him at his workplace. And I said to him, he says, I know you mentioned similar things in the relationship anxiety video, but this one is more about how sometimes things can just be really easy, can just be easily effortless, that we say to ourselves, okay, but why does she like me? And so this refers to the fact that, like, you know, as guys, we go through a lot. Like, it takes us a while to get off our training wheels and to finally, like, get into a situation where we know a little bit more about women and kind of how to date and a bit about passive language and a little bit about how they communicate. But it can take quite a while. Like, I was reading through stuff starting at 21. And even then it took me like years to finally, like, because it's one thing to read it, and then it's another thing to practice it and then feel it and then have it become a natural party to where it's natural and not just like you trying to do a stage play with, like, not being nervous and stuff, right? And so, but there's a point where once you start getting a little bit of confidence and just a smidge of game, right? A girl's going to come along that's going to see that and is going to fall for it and is going to like you. And it's going to be the first girl you ever come across that's going to make it super easy for you to know that she likes you. And part of your brain's going to be like, it can't be this easy. Like, what is going on? She really likes me. And that's because you've now opened your eyes to what women do and show when they're attracted, but you seeing it for the first time. I'm telling you, you're not going to believe it. You're just not going to believe it. And so it gets to a point where, and I say all the time, I say dating is actually really easy. We make it hard. And part of it's because we don't educate ourselves on women. And so if you start educating yourself, you're going to see how easy it can be. And your brain's going to be like, it needs to be harder than this. And part of it's because you're in the habit of having dating being hard. And so you're not used to now doing dating on easy mode. And so this guy said, I remember you telling me about how I need to go over I sent some emails to him where in the emails, he was basically sounding like each time he was just being down on himself and saying, I'm not worth this girl. And now she doesn't really like me. And then why would she like me in the first place? All this other stuff that was just like, dude, like, she's choosing you. She's showing you all these signals that indicate that she wants you. And yet you're still writing me saying that, but you're not sure if she likes you, which we'll get into in a second. So then he says, because of the low projecting I'm doing to myself. So in this video, he told the writer that he told the person that wrote the letter to him in the video to do the same thing. He said, I'm not sure if you have a video about this exactly, but it would make a great topic. And though the girls I was dating before were great, for the most part, it was me that was ruining it since I couldn't settle down. Yeah, because he was living the Playboy lifestyle and just trying to hook up with whoever and not really trying to settle. And so, as I've said before on the show, people that are former players actually have one of the harder times of getting into relationships because they're doing an overcorrection by trying to completely remove all the things that they did as a player to get women, because they think they got to do something different, or that the women that they want to settle down with are going to want somebody different. I got news for you guys. Women that you're not trying to get with enjoy game. Women that you're trying to settle down with really love game. Like, they really love that a guy is showing that she's worth enough effort to even put game towards. And most guys don't get that. Most guys think, well, no, women say they don't want game. But yeah, but like, even when you're married, you're gonna have to game your wife. You're gonna have to come home one day sporadically and bring her flowers, or surprise her with like a trip somewhere, or just say, hey, babe, so you know, you have a great butt, smack on the back. And then, you know, or you come home one day and you're like, hey, I want to do you, like, right there and then without giving consideration to emotions. Like, women want that stuff too. And guys suddenly think that it's a bad thing, but how you get women that you're not trying to get with is the same way you need to act when you're trying to actually get with women. The difference is you might be putting so much importance on, I want to settle down with this girl, that you think you got to treat her differently, and that's actually throwing your game off. So he says, well, I had two bad back-to-back breakups that I caused or could have caused that feeling, and the low self-esteem that I'm really getting over since our emails back and forth. Thank you. You're welcome. He says, but yeah, sometimes these girls are really just showing up and saying, hey, I really like you. And though us being indifferent to that can be a good thing, we really need to see it and believe it, because it may come off as cocky, but at the same time, if we don't believe it, we can't build off of it. So that last paragraph was very, very confusing, but I want to break it down. So basically saying that, like, that when women show up and say, hey, I really like you. The thing about being indifferent is, I teach you guys indifference, but indifference, I just want to make this clear. Indifference does not mean that you don't indicate to women that you like them, okay? Because obviously you're going to ask them on dates. You're going to want to hug them, kiss them, lay them in bed. You're going to want to do things at the house, like cook with them. You're going to still be talking about them and whatnot. And so being indifferent is not saying don't show women emotion or whatever, right? It's basically saying that it's about a state of mind. Your state of mind when dating should always be this. The person that I'm dating right now, I like her a lot. I really want it to work out. I'm going to do everything I can to show her that I enjoy her company, that I have a good time with her. I'm going to give her great hookups. I'm going to take her out on dates. If she wants to talk about something emotional, I'll be open to talk about it. But if that, and so I'm doing all that in hopes that it's going to work out. Like the positive goal here is I want it to work out. But if it doesn't, I got other options. And you can care for a woman that's in front of you and also be like, but if this doesn't work out, I got other options. And it's good to do that because we don't want you so blinded by your like for a woman that you avoid seeing red flags. Or if she starts treating you a certain way or talking to you a certain way, that you're not willing to put her in her place or say, hey, I don't want to be treated that way. And so you got to change that up. And when you get all googly-eyed for a woman, especially in the first 3 months of dating, when she's still trying to figure you out, you're bound to make mistakes and you're bound to be so invested that if she decides to change her mind, and most women are going to change their mind. Most women within the first 2 or 3 months, they're seeing you and potentially 2 or 3 other dudes. Even if that's not happening, the reality is she's assessing during that time to where even if she has feelings for you, and even if she's saying things like, oh, you're the best guy I've ever dated, I've never seen anybody like you, we hear that and think she's already made a decision. Guys, it's 2 to 3 months. So think about this. During the 2 to 3 months that she's dating you, she is already being indifferent, because if at any time she has any kind of feelings change or you say something that completely turns her off, she is more than open to ghosting you, to not talking to you, to blocking your number altogether. All right. So she's already coming into this space being some level of indifferent. Even if she's, you're building up her interest in the right way, there's going to be levels of that's going to still be like, but I'm still holding back a little bit because I'm not sure. How do I know this? I got female friends who will come to me in that first month. So I'm dating this guy, but he's doing really good, but I'm still not sure. Like I need to learn more about him, because I don't want to, I want to make sure he's doing all the right stuff and all this stuff. Right. So anyway, so I have female friends come to me on the first month saying that stuff. And then on the second month, it's like, okay, so I think I'm kind of liking this guy and I really, really think I can see a future with him, but he's not bringing up we're going to be together. I don't know what's going on. Is this how guys act? I got questions, because they're still like, if this isn't going the way I wanted to go, I'm willing to jump ship. Like women are willing to jump ship up until they come to you and say, hey, so what are we? So don't feel bad about being indifferent. But again, you being indifferent is going to keep your eyes open and your blinders off to where you're going to be able to see what's actually going on. So I've talked about that on plenty of shows. But what he's getting to is this idea that being indifferent can be a good thing, but they really need to see it and believe it. So basically what he's saying is that he's realizing that, for one, women can actually like him without him needing to do so much work, without having to overthink things or potentially self-sabotage. But unfortunately, his past experience combined with low self-esteem was making that a very hard reality. And it's true. Again, you got to think as much as we like to think that we are just these entities that can just think the way we want to, whatever, everything that we're built on is habit. The way I move my hands when I talk, habit. The fact that I talk fast, habit. Still trying to break it after 43 years. So suffice to say, guys, so understand that your past thoughts, the past experiences you had about in your dating life, about being rejected or whatnot, or the past experiences you had of it being so hard to get into a relationship, that's not going to go away just because you're thinking differently. That also takes new habit. It takes new receptors in our brain to connect and be like, oh, dating can be easy. Oh my God. And so he's also understanding that there's a power to indifference in a sense of you're not being overly attached or needy. But the problem is this, and this is the part that you're missing, that, to be fair, I haven't talked about, because I'm just reading this message. I finally got this part, and it's this, is that if you're indifferent, if you're acting indifferent, but you don't know the signals that women are going to throw at you or show, or say or express or do when they are building up interest in you, then it's going to cause you to be more anxious, because up to this point, you've been trying to do that you had to do in order to attract women, right? And so now you hear me say, hey, be indifferent. Like, don't act like things bug you. Like, cool. So you're acting indifferent, meaning the habit you had before of doing all this stuff to get women, you're now trying to act more laid back, more patient. You're trying to act like things don't bug you in the hopes that it's going to raise her interest. But up to this point, you may be a guy that has only faced rejection and only has seen signs from women that indicate that they're not interested. So your lens of the world is askewed, because on one hand, you're trying to act indifferent, but you only have a lens of women doing things that indicate they're rejecting you. And so what that means is, one, if you're not aware of what women do to show attraction, you're going to be even more in your head, because you're thinking, okay, I'm not doing the most to attract her, but I can't tell she likes me. So I don't know where I'm actually at on the scale and if my indifference tactic is working, right? And then the other thing is that by you being indifferent, you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm being indifferent. I think this is a good idea, but will she come to me? Will she like me or not? Whatever. And so your brain is still going to be that little anxious person you were before, thinking, I still need to be doing. And it's going to cause you to stress, to freak out, because you know it's not good to do all this stuff. Your brain's saying, but we should be doing all this stuff, and we can't tell from her what's going on. And it causes you to go haywire. All right. So I want to talk about this idea of indifference and the fact that there's a falsitude in how people think about indifference and how they should use it. And also the fact that you're missing the component of knowing what women actually do when they like you. That's going to cause the indifference tactic to not work. And I want to stress by saying indifference in and of itself should not be a tactic. Like, I teach that on here, but I mean to teach that in the way of, like, you being indifferent should be for your life. Like, you need to understand that you can only control so much of what goes on in your life, in your personal life, in your relationship life, right? And so part of us wanting to be so non-indifferent, if that's a word, is we want to have control of things. You want to be able to tell how things are going at any given time so we can determine the outcome. Even if women are constantly rejecting you, at least you're thinking, if I know it's coming though, then I can deal with that. And I know there'll be times where, like, I started to realize that girls were liking me, but I was like, I still wasn't in the habit of girls liking me. So I would do stuff unintentionally to make my reality come true, which is that women don't like me. And if this woman's showing me signals that indicate that she likes me, I don't know what that looks like. So I have to assume that that signal she's showing me now isn't going to be a permanent signal, and it's going to eventually turn to a negative. So I'm going to just go ahead and assume it's a negative now. And then I would do things, and then they'd lose interest. Ha ha, look at that. I was right. But really, I did that, right? So let's talk about this. So here is how, if a guy is trying to be indifferent, but isn't actually good at reading women's interests, that you could end up potentially second guessing yourself and causing yourself to have more anxiety instead of confidence. So to start off with, for one, there's false indifference versus true indifference. So true indifference, basically, it comes from a place of being self-assured, meaning you know that you have value. And so because of that, there's not a need for this constant validation. And I think a lot of guys, they get into the dating space where they've been rejected so much that they're hoping a girl will come along to validate that they're good enough, that they're worth dating. And unfortunately, doing that is not going to actually, like, make you feel any better, but you think it's going to. And so if you're using indifference as a tactic, then internally, you haven't built that as a habit, so you're still going to be anxious. The goal is to make indifference a mindset, because again, being indifferent works for a lot of stuff. For example, like right now, there's a lot of people, I'll say, in the government that are losing their jobs because of things that are changing. And a lot of them are like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Oh my God, this and that. My first job that I had was at a laser tag place, Ultrazone, when I was 17/18. And when I was 18, I lost my job because Ultrazone got bought out by another laser tag company called Laser Quest, and they laid all of us off. And so for my first job, I learned I can never trust jobs to keep me employed and for my money. And so because of that, almost anytime I've lost a job, rarely have I panicked or gotten frustrated. I'm just like, okay, well, it's a business. They deserve to, if they're trying to save on their bottom line or they don't need me anymore, then why are they going to keep paying me? Like, it's fine. Like, I had a job here in California working in a newspaper a couple years ago. After a year and a half, they didn't need my services. I was annoyed because it was like the end of the month. And I was like, all right, well, that sucks. Guess I got to find. But it's like, I just kind of like, I wasn't mad at the business. They have a bottom line. And so I live my life as a generality at the idea that I'm just indifferent to stuff. And it makes my life less stressful. So the only area I had not mastered that in was dating, because dating is a different arena. We take it very personally because it matches up with how we feel about ourselves. Obviously, from a biological level, if we don't get a woman, we can't spread our seed and we can't reproduce and we don't have people that are, I mean, I never wanted kids. Most people care about that stuff. And even not wanting kids, it's still like the need of like, oh, but I want somebody. So it's like, so you have to have indifference be a mindset, not just a tactic. Because if it's a tactic, it's like putting on a costume. At the end of the day, you have to take the costume off and then you realize you're still the same person. So you have to work on doing things that are going to build up the actual indifference. But yeah, so when you're using false indifference, you're sitting on the date thinking, okay, am I being indifferent the right way? If is she losing interest? I can't tell. Should I be doing indifference differently? And so that completely defeats the purpose of being indifferent, because you're not internally, you're not being indifferent to how she's reacting to your indifference, which is the point in the first place, is to be so indifferent that whether she decides to choose you or not, you're like, everybody's got a right to choose whoever. And if she doesn't want to choose me, that's fine. I'll find somebody else. Best of luck to her, you know? So that's the first reason. Second reason, very, very important, is there's a lack of positive feedback. So here's how that works, right? So you're acting indifferent. If you as a guy cannot read whether or not a woman is actually into you, then you might assume negatively that she isn't. And so therefore, you're going to be acting indifferent, thinking that she's waiting for a sign from you that you're interested, if that makes sense. Like, you're thinking, and by the way, indifference does not mean you're not showing interest. Like I said earlier, indifference is simply a state of mind where you're like, I want things to go well, so I'm going to do the best I can. But again, we're not doing all the things. Women don't need us to do all the things in the beginning, right? But what's happening is when you don't know how women show interest, you're being indifferent, thinking, okay, Harry said if I'm indifferent, then it's going to make women like me more. So I'm being indifferent, but I can't tell if she's doing things that indicate she likes me or not, or if that her interest is building. So what am I supposed to do? Because Harry's saying I can't just outright tell her my feelings or talk about emotions and stuff like that, but how can I tell? And so when you're not able to tell, then you get even more anxious about stuff. Now, this is why it's important, right? Because let's say, for example, the guy that's writing to me on this, right? There were several times where he wrote me where he was like, I'm being indifferent, but I can't tell if she likes me or not. And then he would go through a list of things she was doing. Like she was gone on a trip for like a month, right? So he'd be like, I can't tell if she likes me. So she's on a trip and she's texting me every other day and she calls me and FaceTimes me and she's saying she can't wait until she gets back to see me and she wants to meet up somewhere when I first get back and she can't wait to see me, this and that. But I just can't tell if she likes me. And me being, again, a 20-something odd year vet in the game now, I'm like, this is all 101 stuff. Like, you know, I tell you guys to be patient on texting, so they'll text you. She's texting you. She's on vacation where she's with family. I tell you guys, don't assume a woman's going to text you when she's on vacation, because she could still like you, but she's just with family and busy. And even then, if they do text you, that's a pretty good sign. And she was texting him and FaceTiming him like every other day. But again, he's thinking, but those can't be the right signs. And his brain will trick him into thinking, I'm only used to women either rejecting me, or I'm used to women that like aren't showing signs as obvious because I've never had it be this easy. So you're telling me that these signs are so blatantly obvious, but these feelings that I'm getting from these signs don't correlate with the feelings I usually get when I'm able to tell that a woman's attracted. And it's because part of it is we're thinking, again, the only way a woman's going to show that she's attracted to us is if we're doing the most. And the habit you got to break out of is understanding that, like, the less you do, the more likely she's going to show you more signals. Now, I will pause and say this. Women hate when I say that. Women hate when I say that, and they take it as me telling guys, don't put forth effort, be lazy, don't do anything. At no time will I ever tell you guys to not do. What I'm saying is, think of it like the whole adage of like, when like there's a wolf at the top of a hill and they got like their wolf son with them and they see a bunch of sheep down at the bottom of the hill and the young wolf is like, hey, we should run down there and get one of those sheep. And then the older wolf is like, or we could just walk down there and get all of them. And that's what I'm trying to show you guys, is that getting women in terms of like the moves you make, it's not about doing all the things. It's about knowing the right moves to make at the right time and then doing that move, because you only need one move to get that woman versus I got to do all the things. So for example, on a date, right? You want to go back to your place. You're thinking, okay, on the date, I got to talk about sex and I got to talk about how good of a lover I am. And I got to buy her like this big fancy this and that. You could literally just make a girl laugh, be jovial. And at the end, she'll be like, I had a really great time tonight. I wish it didn't have to end. And you just be like, it doesn't have to. Boom. And now her panties are wet and she's ready to go home. And all you said was, it doesn't have to. You said 4 words and she's ready to bang your bones out. And this is stuff that can legitimately happen. But this goes back to, again, you have to know the signals that women are going to throw out. They're going to throw out, if you are a man that is calm and cool and collected, they're going to throw out sexual innuendos. They're going to throw out hints like, hey, I had a girl one time tell me, I took her back to her place and we're sitting in the car and I'm dropping her off. And she's like, oh, this night's so great. I don't want it to end. All I did was take her out for dinner and talk to her really nice. I kissed her midway through the date and made her laugh. That's it. But I knew when she said, I don't want this night to end, not to say, well, it's night, but it's already late and you're already here, so you got to go, do. But 20-year-old me definitely did that and missed out on women because I was thinking, but they know I'm a virgin and they're not trying to take that away from me, so I'm just going to say goodnight, do. So when you know the signals, then what will happen is you'll recognize that even if it seems like a small thing, it's a big thing. A woman doing a double look at you before she goes to her car, that's a signal. Her brushing her hair back, that's a signal. Her laughing at your jokes while touching her shoulder, that's a signal. And if you're not able to read that, you're going to think you being indifferent isn't working. So this is why it behooves you guys to study up on female communication. It's really worth studying up on like body language and all those things, because that'll really help you start to understand that, oh, okay, so I want things to go well. Again, they don't have to, but based on the 3 signals that I'm seeing right now, I'm clearly doing things right. This is going in a positive direction. I feel good about this, and I'll continue on. And so when you're not able to do that, what's going to happen is it's going to end up fueling more uncertainty. So you got to do yourself the service of studying up on stuff. So that way, when you're being indifferent, you'll see that you're getting positive responses. And then you'll be able to say, okay, Harry's right. Being indifferent does work. I can now actually add that to who I actually am versus it being just a tactic. Third thing is that a lot of times this happens where guys get more anxious because they're doing an overcorrection. So beforehand, you might have been a needy guy, a very anxious guy. You were trying to, suck up to women and, give them all the things and do all the stuff. And you realize, okay, being that needy, it's not working. I'm clearly showing her that I'm too invested early on. I'm being too emotional. I'm being upset when she doesn't text me back right away, whatever. So, some guys end up going from being overly eager and needy to thinking that being indifferent means being completely detached, thinking that, okay, if I just act like I don't care at all, because that's what the bad boys do, then I will get better results. And again, I stress, being indifferent is not about not caring, okay? It's just about not being so desperate to have this person have to be your person. It's the abundance mindset of there are other women out there that will work for me if this choice does not work, all right? But the thing is that, what happens is you're thinking, I'm going to be completely detached, and that's going to help you out. It's going to make you look confident. But instead of looking confident, because you're overcorrecting, you end up looking like you're either cold or you're just not actually interested in her. Like she's coming to you like, hey, I had a great time on a date. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to be like, yeah, if I see you, it's whatever. Like, you're not trying to verbally say that. And also, you're not trying to give her that impression. She's saying yes to dates. She's saying yes to hookups. She obviously cares about you. And she is hoping there's a level of care there. I tell you guys that you should go slower than women and that you shouldn't be blabbing out your feelings. It doesn't mean that you're not doing actions that indicate to her that there's levels of feeling there, all right? And so instead of looking confident, you seem cold or uninterested. And so this can end up backfiring because, again, you go from doing all the things to doing absolutely nothing, which is not what I tell you to do. And so now she's not able to read anything off you. And now she's wondering, does she like me or not? What's going on? And so as a result of that, you're thinking now you're playing it overly cool. So now she's thinking she's got to play it cool. And now it goes back to, you can't tell what if she likes you or not, because she's trying to play it so cool, but she's not giving you any signals. And now you guys are both in your head and it's all messed up, right? And then the last reason this happens is there's an internal conflict that's going on. So if you like a woman, but you're trying to be indifferent, oftentimes, if you came from a place where you were anxious or nervous, you are having an internal battle where you are fighting yourself. Because on the one hand, you're wanting to engage with her, but you're stopping yourself because you're thinking being engaging is not being indifferent, and that's a bad thing, and that's causing you to create tension in your mind. And so because of that, you're not able to be present in the moment because you're sitting there thinking, she said something to me. Can I say something back? Is it okay? She texts me. Should I text her back in 2 minutes or in 2 hours? Oh my God, she's saying she had a great time tonight. Should I try to push myself up to the room? But if I do that, then she's going to think that I'm interested and I can't show that. But I do want to hook up. But can I be a guy that hooks up, but then not have any emotion about? And then you just end up being this guy that's like completely going insane. And then you're trapped in over-analysis of all your situations, which in talking to this guy, that was kind of what was happening, where a lot of times it sounded like he was really over-analyzing all the things that were going on to where he couldn't enjoy being with a woman that was showing him all the signs that she was interested. So here's the thing, guy, is that you can't, well, I'll say this, because habits take a while to make, in the beginning, there is going to be a level of feeling that you're being fake when you're trying to be indifferent. Part of it's because you don't have the positive experience yet that often comes with being indifferent. And it is. In my lifetime, I found I got way more dates with hotter women simply by being a bit more indifferent to whether I date them or not. It's sad to say, but it's true. I would go to parties, I get the hottest chick there because all the other guys there were harping on how great she is. And I was just like, but I don't know her. I'll talk to her. And then as I talk to her, I would show, oh yeah, ask questions, learn more about you, hug you, kiss you, do whatever. Like there's levels of you're asking her questions that make her feel as though you actually want to know more about her. And you doing the process of wanting to know more about her will make her feel like you care without you having to say, just so you know, I just met you, but I really care, and I love you still. Like, you ain't got to do all that. That's why I say women are great at picking up cues, but they don't need us to spell it out for them. So when I say do less, what I mean is do it at a level where she's going to already come in and add layers on top of what you're doing to where it's going to level up to the level you want to be doing it at, because she's going to add that on. When you try to start at this level, she's going to add more on it, and it's going to feel like you like her more than she likes you in this moment, and that's not good. So how do you cure yourself from this? Because the thing is that you have to change both the internal mindset and also the external mindset in order to properly balance the right way to be indifferent, right? So let's start with the internal stuff, okay? First thing you got to do is you need to be more detached from outcomes. And so what this means is simply shifting your mindset from, I hope this girl likes me, to, if this girl's into me, fantastic. But if not, I'll find somebody else. Because, and I get it, when you're early in the dating cycle for your life, most of you guys, like, you haven't had a lot of experience. So that first girl comes along and you're thinking, oh my God, I hope she wants to stay with me. And you're already losing. I'm telling you now, you're already losing. Because women can sense that energy. They can sense that you're more desperate for her than she is for you. And that's the energy that's either going to turn her off or decide, I can use this guy and never date him. So even if you haven't had a lot of experience, you still want to go in thinking, okay, she said yes to a date. That's great. If she said yes to a date, there's other girls out there that will say yes to a date. So if this one doesn't work out, I've already proven to myself I can get a date. I can probably get other dates. Once you change that mindset, you're going to be surprised at how more indifferent you're going to become, because you're going to tolerate less bad behavior for one. And also you're going to realize the caliber of woman you're able to get is pretty high. Like there are 9s and 10s out there that aren't dating anybody because people are afraid to approach them. You will be able to approach them in part because you don't see them as all that special from any other woman out there. She thinks she's a 10. She goes home, she's a 7. But you know that internally is what matters. Is she a good person? And does she have a good level of self-esteem, whatever? But the point is, you walking in with the mentality of like, I can get whoever, that's going to change your dating game altogether. And the simple way to practice this is you got to start practicing the abundance mentality. You have to remind yourself, even if you don't see it now, that there's more than one woman out there. And I found, honestly, another good thing you can do is start keeping a journal. Like, real talk, I mean, go to a store, go to CVS, get an old-fashioned notebook with a pen. Or if you got notebook on your computer, do a typed journal, but start writing out your thoughts. I was actually going to read portions of my journal, but like when I was like 15, I kept a journal just for the course of the year, right? And so like last year, I went back and looked at my journal, and I'm reading the thoughts of a 15-year-old young man that hasn't figured out the world yet, that is very nervous around all the girls that he's the crushes on, and he's hiding that he wants to date them, and he's too scared to talk to them about wanting to go out and do this and that. And I'm looking like, objectively at 15, I was thinking like I was just all weird and nerdy. I look back at pictures of myself at that time like, this dude could have gotten women. But this dude had the mind frame that it couldn't happen, and that's what kept him on hold, and that's why he didn't get them. And so, but keeping that journal, I'm able to see what my thoughts and feelings were. And so you can start getting if you do keep a journal for just like 3 months, right? And then put the journal away for 3 months. And then on like month 9, take it back out and see what your thoughts were at the start of the year. And you will see the times, you'll have a more objective perspective of how you think about things, how you think about yourself, how you think about the girls that you're probably not even crushing on anymore because they went away somewhere and you don't even care anymore. Like, you'll start to see the kind of thoughts you have, whether they're positive or negative or whatever, and you'll start to realize, oh crap, I'm creating my own life right here based in my brain. I can change this, So it starts with that. Secondly, I encourage you guys to really start reframing rejection, because here's the thing. When you ask women out, whether they say yes or no, they have things going on in their lives that you have no idea about that could be determining if they want to say yes to you or not. You don't know if that girl over there has got an STD. You don't know if she has a boyfriend at home that's beating her. You don't know if she's about to move in 2 weeks. You don't know if her parents just died and she's really like going through a depression and she knows it's best not to bring somebody around. Or she can just be like, she don't like you. You're not her type, but you don't know. But the point is that you need to stop seeing rejection so much as a failure on your part, because even the guys that have been in this game, the players, whatever, they might go to a bar and hit on like 10 women and go home with like 2. 2 is very much a victory. He lost 8 times, but understand that you have to understand failure is part of the process towards getting success. And so you got to redirect the idea that failure is a bad thing. I've famously said on the show, instead of being like, I'm going to try to approach that one girl. If it doesn't work, oh my God, be like, no, my goal today is to go out there and get rejected by 10 women. So I got to go up to 10 women and get 10 rejections before I go home. I have found doing that. I did that in college. I tried to go for like 10 rejections. By the 3rd girl, I got a yes to a date, and then I got yes to 2 more dates. So I only got to like 5 women before the next 3 that I asked out said they wanted to go out with me. So a lot of this rejection you're feeling is really in your head. But the point is that if you take failure as part of the process, then you'll understand that there's really not a lot of value in failure other than you start to get used to rejection. It doesn't hurt your feelings as much. And then once you become indifferent to rejection, then you will really be hard to deal with in terms of like being able to get out there and just go, because you're like, hey, I'm gonna go out here tonight, have a good time. I'm gonna talk to some women, hope one wants to go home with me, hope one wants to connect with me and give me her number. But if she doesn't, no big deal. I'll try again next week. Like, it'll be such a huge thing, And so, but again, you have to practice that. So that means you have to purposely put yourself in situations where you may get rejected, whether it's going to the mall to talk to women, whether it's going to a networking event, going to a party, whatever. Just put yourself in scenarios where you're going to come across a lot of women and you have a chance to test out openers, test out just talking to women. My openers suck. Like, people ask me, hey, Harry, what are your openers? My openers have been like, man, the music at this party really sucks, doesn't it? Or, hey, how's that fruit punch? Like, again, low effort, guys. I do not try. I try, but I've practiced the art of trying things in a way that's very, very low key, because I'm not trying to exert all this energy. And I found women respond to that a lot better than when I was trying to do all the things. For women watching, I wish I could say that me doing all the things would get you all attractive. You've shown it doesn't. So I stopped doing that and I get better results. What can I say? Another thing too is, in terms of your internal mindset, start developing self-validation. As I've said before on this show, we have a lot of negative talk that's in our heads that we're unaware of. So if you sit with yourself for like a day and just start writing out the thoughts that you're having about stuff, you will see how negatively you think about yourself. Whether it's something simple like, Oh, I want to go for this. I want to go for this job. Oh, but I can't do that. I'm not qualified. Or, oh, I would love to be a musician. Oh, but people wouldn't want to hear me. Like, there is so much negative stuff in your head that this also then correlates to your dating life, where you're thinking that you need women's approval to come to validate how great of a person you are. And you can't start with that, because women don't want to be in your life to validate how great you are. That gets stressful on them. They don't want to be doing that for 10, 20, 30 years in a marriage with you. So you got to start practicing self-positive talk. And so what I found helped me with that is I started doing this thing where anytime I could recognize I was having a negative thought, I would combat that with 5 to 7 positive thoughts. So I'm sitting there, I can't do anything right. No, wait, nope. You're great. You're smart. You're wonderful. People love being around you. You got a podcast that people really enjoy. It is what it is. And then every time, and when you first start doing that, if you really concentrate on doing the exercise of combating your negative thoughts with positive thoughts, you will be overwhelmed at how negatively you think about yourself. But I'm here to say, if you just do that exercise for even like a good 2 weeks, you will start to notice significant changes in the way you feel about yourself, in the way that you're carrying yourself, and how people are responding to you. So definitely consider doing that exercise. So that's all for the internal mindset. Now, in terms of the external stuff, simple stuff. For one, start being around other people, because that naturally makes you more confident. And I'm not talking about just women. If you're a dude that doesn't have a lot of guy friends, go out there, try to meet guys, go to the gym, go to the basketball court and start playing like team-on-team basketball. Like, do something that's going to allow you to get around other men so you can start building a camaraderie. And then you can also start going around and meeting other women, whether they end up being your friends or end up being, somebody you date or hook up with or whatever. Like, the more you put yourself out there, the more chances you have at being able to expand your social circle. Too many guys are just like, oh, I can't get anybody. I don't know how to build my confidence. Okay, great. Do you ever go out of your house? No. Do you ever go to networking events? No. Do you ever like hang out at bars and just hang out, or go to something to have fun, or go to your friends' parties? Well, I'm an introvert and I like to stay inside. Hey, I'm an introvert too. I still go out to meet people because I need a social life. And so you got to figure out some way to get yourself out there, whether it's through hobbies, through networking, whatever, and start building up your social circle. The more you're out there, one, you'll start to feel more confident that people like you. And also, when you are dating, you can get perspectives from other people on what you can do, what you can say, how you can approach things, versus just being in your head all the time with failing results. Another external action is to start mastering a skill or passion of some kind. I have found that setting goals that are realistic for you to hit up to are ways for you to build your confidence. And this goes beyond, guys. This goes beyond playing video games. I'm a video game fiend. I just finished beating Metroid Dread on hard mode for the Switch. It took me like a good 3 or 4 weeks to do it, but I did it and I feel accomplished about that. But suffice to say, there are other things besides video games that could actually, be accomplishable in the real world, and also get you towards goals that will have benefits, whether it's a workout goal, whether it's a job or money goal, whether it's a car goal, a house goal. Create goals that you can realistically hit, and then shoot for the moon. If you're trying to get like a Lexus, you might get a Lexus, or you might get like, I just got a Kia Niro that's a hybrid. It's fantastic, okay? But the point is, you can shoot for stuff, even if you miss the mark a little bit. Just the journey of going after the goal and having to make plans in order to get to the goal, these are habits you need to develop. So when you start meeting women, you can do those things. And also, when you accomplish goals, it shows you proof of concept that it's going to make you be excellent at something, and it's going to cause you to build more confidence in yourself, okay? And then that'll show off when you go to talk to women. On top of, you'll have things to talk about with women that they'll see as very, very impressive, and they'll want to date you. And then also, very important, the way that you carry yourself, it really does impact your confidence. Some simple stuff like sitting like this versus sitting up like this, walking like this versus walking upright like this, like working on your posture, working on how you're going to style yourself, having unkempt hair versus a well put together haircut, deciding to go shave or unshave, like all this stuff. As a person that was a theater major in college, I very much understand the idea of like the costume you put on is going to determine how you feel about yourself. So if you're walking about in the world with a schlummy t-shirt on and some baggy sweatpants and socks with holes in them and shoes that don't kind of fit all the way, how do you think you're carrying yourself? You're not carrying yourself as the guy that thinks he can get women. And then by proxy of that, women are going to see that and be like, oh, this guy doesn't carry himself like he gets chicks. So that's stuff that you can work on with a personal stylist or look it up on YouTube. There's ways to do this, but the point is that when you develop this stuff, you're going to feel more confident, and then your brain is going to correlate with that and start to believe that you're actually worthy of getting women, to where when you go out there, you'll legitimately be indifferent. So all this to say, guys, that plenty of gurus talk about being indifferent on here, and I have talked about it too, but understand that if you're going to be, part of being indifferent is also helping yourself out by understanding and knowing the ways in which women are going to show that they're interested. So as you're being indifferent, again, doesn't mean you're not caring, or that you're not showing that you're having a good time with them, but just having the mindset of like, I want this to work, but if it doesn't, I'll find somebody else. You'll also know as you're with her what she's doing in ways that'll let you know, oh, okay, I'm doing good. She's showing interest. She's doing it this way. Harry said this is a strong tell right here, so I'm good. And you won't second guess that. But don't beat yourself up if learning to be indifferent takes a bit of time, because it took me a while to learn it. And there are definitely things like I talked about here that you can do to start building that up. That said, if you need more help, you can always go to harrywilmington.com and you can check out my ebooks and audiobooks. You can sign up for one-on-one coaching, or you can join the Get Girls Academy, where we talk about this stuff a lot. So hopefully that helps you guys out. All right, let's see if we got any other questions in the chat here. Let's see. A bunch of just move here from around the globe in the season. Okay, just a random San Jose comment. He says, I live in San Jose and struggle finding women I'm attracted to. Not sure what the solution is, but to move. A bunch of engineers move here from around the globe, and the decent looking ones get out ASAP to places that are more fun, San Diego, cities, etc. Where is San Jose? Is that, forgive me for not knowing geography right now. Let me just look this up. I'm trying to see if it's north or south. Let's see maps. Where is San Jose? I figure I've been here. I've been in California for 16 years now. I should know this by now. So it's north of here. Okay, yeah. So San Jose. So I haven't really extensively been to San Jose. I will say this. I never like to buy into the idea that there's, that there's no women where you live at all that you can be attracted to. And also, I typically refuse to believe, when men tell me that, my first thought is, are you actually going out as enough to where that's a true statement? Because if you're just saying like, I can't find women I'm attracted to here, it's a hopeless thing. Okay, great. Well, beyond just work, how are you getting out when you're not at work or at your apartment? Are you going to restaurants? Are you going to networking events? Have you signed up for online dating? No, I can't do online dating. It's a trap, blah, 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 blah. I did online dating very successfully for a lot of years. It can work if you know what you're doing. If you go to my Get Girls Academy, I have a program in there called Smart Digital Dating that walks you through how to set up your profile, how to set up your bio, how to talk to women, how to ask them out on dates. It's all there. But suffice to say, San Jose, I'm looking at it. San Jose is surrounded by other cities. So if you are not successful in San Jose, San Francisco, I want to say is roughly, let's see, San Francisco is roughly, that's by train. I'm not doing it by train, by car. It's roughly an hour and 26 minutes. So it's a little far, but suffice to say, the point is, here's what I don't like. I don't like it when we as men, or anybody in general, puts up barriers for themselves as if to say, it's just hopeless. I can't do anything. Like, there's just no girls. I can't find them. I looked under my desk. I can't find them under my bed. Like, I don't know where they're at. Because the reality is there are women everywhere. So you have to ask yourself, what's really actually stopping you from meeting women? Because you live near populous cities. You live near San Francisco. You live near Modesto, which I have some family in Modesto, and in there's Morgan Hills. So, there's places around you. I know Oakland's nearby. Like, there are places that you can go to if pressed to meet women. Ideally, you meet a woman that has a car. So if you guys got to meet halfway, but the point is that you have the ability. So you have to ask yourself again, like, have you really, really done the search? Have you really gone out there and put yourself out there outside of going to work and back to be able to meet women in a real way? If you have, then you might be ugly. I don't know you personally, but I would say that it would behoove you to try to put in a little more effort. And again, men don't like to hear this, but dating is partially a numbers game, and that's partially true. But the other part is that if you know what you're doing and what you're looking for, it makes it easier in terms of what you're attracted to. I don't know what's on your list in terms of what things you're actually looking for in a woman, but understand, women can be picky, men can also be picky, but you're not going to really fully know a woman off of just a glance at her and maybe possibly one date. So just like I tell women, hey, give men the benefit of the doubt. Go out with them more than once. You may have to go out with a woman more than one time in order to see if she has fully the things that you want. This is why dating is typically a 2 to 3 month process where you're vetting the person. So don't assume after 1 or 2 meetings, you're going to fully know a woman. It's okay to have it take a month and a half to 2 months before you've decided, oh, you know what? She is the person I want to date. So give them a little more time. But in the meantime, figure out ways to put yourself out there more and then see if you get better results. Now, if you, at that point, if you've gone like, say, 6 months, you've gone to every corner, nook and cranny of San Jose, you've gone to all the networking events, you've done all the dating app stuff, you've done all the speed dating events, you've gone to San Francisco, blah, 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 and you still get results, then you may have a situation on your hand. But right now, I would say, look at ways that you can put yourself out there more. I know there was a point a few years ago where I was single and I joined meetup.com and I forced myself, like, I'd be like, okay, there's an event happening. I'm going to go there solo. I'm not going to know anybody. What do people think? I'm whatever. I'm just like, so what? Like, you get up, and I thought I would get out, I would go there, and I meet some cool people. Some women, I was able to exchange numbers. Some women, I just talked to and then walked them my merry way. But it's like, I was still putting myself out there to be able to have the chance at meeting people. And you never know, and there's another thing too, is that you never know on your day-to-day what opportunities actually show up that you're not aware of, because as you're walking to work, you're walking to the gas station, you're walking to the store, there are so many areas where there are going to be women. Some guys aren't into cold approaching like that, but I'm just saying, if you're having a hard time finding a woman, it means on your end of things, putting in more effort, which could mean maybe talking to women in situations you wouldn't normally be comfortable in. And hey, if you see a hot girl at the store, like, oh, she looks like she could potentially be my type. Oh, but I don't want to bug her. She's shopping. She's got lettuce in her cart. No, walk up to her. Worst case scenario, you don't end up with her, but you don't have her now. You don't lose out, but you do lose out if you're not trying to actually take in those situations. So just wanted to put that out there. Anyway, guys, my throat is feeling weird for some reason. So I am going to bid you all adieu. Thank you all for tuning into this episode. If you like what you saw, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, tell others about it. Also go to harrywilmington.com. Check out my ebooks, audiobooks, programs. If you need more one-on-one personalized help, you can sign up for one-on-one coaching. And if you want all of my programs and all of my ebooks in one full thing, you can join the Get Girls Academy, where you have access to a lot of my programs that are going to walk you through a lot of the processes that I talk about here on this show. Once again, that is harrywilmington.com. That's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace. Hey there, thanks for tuning in to Harry Dating Convos. Don't forget to visit harrywilmington.com to download my free ebook, Texting Women Like a Boss. And while you're there, if you're ready to take things to the next level with your dating life, check out the Get Girls Academy membership program for exclusive strategies and live coaching. Go to harrywilmington.com to learn more and join today. Lastly, if you've got a question you'd like answered on one of these shows, leave a comment below or write me at harrywilmington@gmail.com. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.